hello everybody. We have our guest questionnaire here on Pink Cloud Roundtable. Jax and Marshy here.
Okay, so what do you want to first talk about?
You could start.
Let's talk about happiness.
Okay.
And, like, I guess happiness and routine. Like, I think I say this a lot and other people say this a lot. Like, why do I constantly look for reasons to be unhappy? Mm-hmm. I think I look for more reasons to be unhappy than to be happy.
Wow.
And maybe, like, I think the very idea of happiness kind of terrifies me.
Wow.
Because it's not comforting.
Maybe that's... Oh, man. It's okay. Record me talking to my mom on the phone.
Okay.
Hello? Hey, Mom. Good? Yeah, she just got here. Oh, okay. No, I know. I will. If anything. But we have stuff here too, so... We have food here too, so... Oh, okay. Love you too. Okay, talk to you later. Love, love. Bye-bye. Oh, she says Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays, she said. Oh, okay. You too. Bye-bye. Okay, sorry. Whoops.
No, it's okay. So, like... So what do you think of that? About looking for unhappiness because it's comforting.
I think, I think I can go back to what happened recently with me. With, well, I'll say it, Christina.
Okay.
No, I think that it's comforting because you've had it before, probably, more than anything.
So, I remember we talked briefly about the idea of comfort.
Yeah.
Because, ex-person told me that I make her feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And you say that might not be a good thing.
Yeah.
And then when you said it, like, it just, like, it was like one of those, like, dun, dun, dun. Comfort probably isn't a good thing.
Yeah.
Especially if it's, like, initial comfort.
True.
And then, because
it may, like, in a lot of ways, I think that's what happened with Christina, is that it was initial comfort, and then it got to the point of, well, that's not enough.
Well, but, okay, so...
Is
it comfortable if she sweats? In the sense that, like, when we held hands for, like, the first time, she was so nervous and, like, shaking and sweating.
Wow.
Is that comfortable?
I don't know. I've never heard somebody say they're comfortable and shaking and sweating. So.
Right? So, like, and then I asked her, like, do you want me to let go? And she's like, no. And then I asked her, well, what if I keep holding your hand? Maybe then you will be comfortable,
right,
and you'll no longer sweat.
Yeah.
And she said, I don't think so.
Wow.
And then, I mean, we held hands for, like, a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And every time she would sweat.
Huh.
So...
Maybe it's that idea of what I said before, that it could be that because she has always made someone else happy and doesn't know how to make herself happy, that's something new.
Right. You know, she actually told me something really beautiful, because I was asking her, are you going to walk for graduation? You know, this is our master's, and she said she walked when she graduated for her BA, but I didn't. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, why didn't you walk? And I said, well, because I felt like my family wasn't going to come. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if my friends were going to come, and it didn't mean anything to me then. And then she's all like, well, did you want to walk? And I'm like, yeah, part of me really did. And then she's all like, well, let's walk. This is our master's. We're going to walk. And nice. I'm all like, I'll think about it. And she's all like, Jax, maybe you should do things that make you happy.
Yeah.
Even if no one comes.
Yeah.
You know? But, like, and in that moment was another freeze frame for me, you know? And then so I was just like, but do you do that? Are you doing what you're giving me advice, you know?
Yeah.
People do that a lot.
Yeah. I've seen it a lot.
And now that, like, I haven't talked to her for a couple days, I wonder, is she happy with the decisions she have made? or if she's going to, or whatever she's going to make.
Yeah, that's true. Because, yeah, I mean, anything can happen in silence, I think.
What do you mean by in silence?
I think that a part of people don't want to assume about things, but when you're given the opportunity to be alone or given that silence, you can change anything, I think, about how you feel about things.
Right.
It's not good or bad, it's just sometimes that's something that happens. It doesn't happen to me much, but...
Is there a difference between wanting something and acting on it? Like, if you don't act on something you want, does it mean you want it still?
Yes.
Yes.
I think so. I think action doesn't speak that loud.
Really?
Because it seems almost impossible for action to speak that loud because so many do it.
So many do actions and they don't... Oh, so you're talking about empty action. Let's talk about that. The idea of empty actions. Because they are not as loud as we give them credit to be. Maybe?
I think so. Because I think that sometimes the actions people take aren't really actions to other people. I don't know if that makes any sense.
So, even if you don't want something, or, I mean, even if you really want something,
yeah,
and you don't act on it, it still means you want it?
Yeah, it can. It has for me. Indefinitely.
So then that brings me to my question of enough. Like, I think with everything, relationships, academic, career-wise, friendship,
yeah.
like, even a meal, like, you can sit there and think about something and want it and want it and want it, but it's until you actually step up and do something about it means you want it enough, right?
Yeah. But enough is too much sometimes.
Enough is too much sometimes. Oh. That's true. Okay, I'm
killing you right now.
You are! I love it, though. Okay.
And sometimes enough is too late, too. That's what I spoke about on my audio today, too. About how, like, at work yesterday, some of my employees were talking about how you have a lot of love, you have too much love. And I was like, I think I have just enough.
Okay. So we're talking about the idea of enough being too much and enough being too late.
Yeah.
So when you say too much or too late, we're talking about there is some kind of quantity that needs to be fulfilled, and there is a time frame for things.
Yeah.
But I thought it's never too late.
Well, I mean, it's never too late for us to be fulfilled, but fulfillment for others is different.
Right.
So, I think it's never too late for individuals, but it can be too late.
No, I know what you mean, because, like, I was telling you about my ex-girlfriend, like, when she finally realized she loved me, it was too late.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough. Or maybe it was too much, you know? Like, like, when you've been asking for something for time and time again, and then you don't get it, and then you're like, okay, I'm done. So that time frame, that window of opportunity shut. And then once they come knocking, you don't open anymore, because I think I've bolted that window.
I think it's the complete opposite for me, is that
Okay.
I leave my door open, but the thing is, I don't ask. Like you said right now, when somebody asks,
All right.
again and again, I didn't ask. So I don't believe asking is going to help either, because it can always push down people's, like, defenses. And I want somebody to be themselves, so I want your defense
push down defenses?
Yeah.
Huh. That's true.
That's happened to me, and
But what if you don't ask and they never know?
well, Catherine knew, and she kept on asking me at the end. So I mean, she just kept on asking, why do you have feelings for me? Why do you have feelings for me? I already answered that, and you went through a phase, and I have no problem with that. I never put her down for it.
So you don't ask, but you tell them how you feel, though?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So... And
not in the, like, oh, here we are, I'm going to throw it at you.
Okay. Like a more subtle way,
yeah.
Of course. Okay, so now we're talking about... Let's talk about distance, like physical distance and, like, emotional distance. Like, you know, when you love someone, like a friend or a lover or a potential lover...
Yeah.
Do you take a step back, or do you... Like, how aggressive do you need to be?
I think I take a step back to understand how I feel first.
Okay.
So I think the reason why I would do that is because I want to understand if this is potential feeling that is very strong. And if it's, even if it's only one-sided, or let's say it's only me feeling that way, I want to understand it so that I won't be in a bad situation with the other person.
That is so brilliant. So I feel like I need to take, like, yards and meters back. I feel like I'm so, like, even though this person that I like is not next to me or anywhere near me physically, yeah. I feel like emotionally I've attached myself so closely to her that I need to take, like, miles. I need to be in another state.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not just about giving her space, but giving myself space.
Yeah.
To figure out how I feel about her.
That's how I was. When I first started hanging out with the two of them.
Right.
I tried with Christina initially, but she said no, and it was way before she was with anybody, so it was kind of like a letdown from a long time. So, and then with Kat, it was more, I gave myself time to understand it more, because I saw the difference between what just happened to what can, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, like, up until now, I don't realize that you can really love someone from afar and love someone by not being with them.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it was my, like, immaturity or, like, my intensity when I was, like, just a year younger. I feel like you constantly need to be interacting with that person to express love. But now I think I'm at a place where I can say that you don't need to interact with someone to express love.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay, so now here's a question that she had asked me, and I always think about it, and I want to know what you think. Do you think the day is a bunch of mean time in instant successions, or one perpetual mean time? So we're talking about the idea of continuity and fragments, and committing to the moment. Like, tell me your thoughts.
Continuity and fragments and committing to the moment. Oh, man. Because, I guess I could give an example.
Okay.
The thing that I'm thinking about is, when Kat threw up one night, I came here.
Yeah.
And I helped afterward with her in the bathroom, and then the one thing that I remember, I forgot the whole night, except when she had laid her hands and her head on my back.
Right.
So I think that's a good example of, like, what can be, like, I don't think it's a bunch of mean times. I don't even think it's either of those, honestly. Right. I think it can be the center point of what you feel. I think it's like what you feel that moment can kill all the rest of it. And make it nothing to you. Like the rest of
So when you feel something at that moment, and you're so sincere and committed to that moment, and when that moment passes, what do you make of those feelings?
It never passed.
It never passed?
I still feel it.
You still feel it. But let's talk about, like, do you think, is it possible for others not to feel it once the moment has passed?
Yeah, it is. My mom had the same problem in the first marriage she had. It was one-sided feelings. It was hers. And then she went back to his ex, actually.
Yeah.
And they got back together, so... And there wasn't, like, a bad breakup or anything. It was just a one-sided feelings. So I think it can happen. And it happens a lot, actually, I think.
Okay.
I don't know how Catherine felt, so I can't answer that. I don't know the other side.
Well, I'll answer it. Like...
Because that was after she had already said everything else and asked me questions about how I was feeling, so... I don't know. She never said anything.
So, originally, my answer is that I think the day is a perpetual meantime containing instance of successions.
Yeah.
So, meaning, like, there is really no meantime. Every moment is a meantime, dependent, connected to another moment.
Yeah, that's true. I think I can see that, too.
So, does that answer eliminate the idea of fragments?
I don't think it eliminates it, because aren't those fragments already then, in a way? Like, because I'm sure you can't remember every meantime.
No, you can't. What about compartmentalizing?
Oh.
Is that, like, do you compartmentalize, or do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, or is it neither?
I don't think it's very good.
You don't think it's good?
I don't think it's completely bad, but I do think that when you compartmentalize, you're kind of changing your emotions too.
Right, because you have to you have to shift from emotion A in setting A to emotion B to setting B.
Yeah, which I don't think is healthy.
Do you think people who procrastinate have a tendency to compartmentalize?
Dang. I think at times, yes, especially if they plan to procrastinate, especially yes.
Yeah. So I feel like even though my moment with the girl, like, ended, I feel like I'm still there. I'm still, as I'm sitting here talking to you about her, I'm still sitting on that curbside with her.
Nice.
So now this moment or that moment is dependent on each other because I'm making that association in my mind.
Yeah.
When does the association go away?
When does it go away?
Are you still associating things with Catherine and Christina?
Not as much with Christina, but that was because what I said to you the other time, that she had killed our friendship even, and she didn't need to. There was nothing that resulted, especially if I was like Brent, like she had said, you know, you're an asshole, stuff like that, then she wouldn't have to remember me.
Right.
In that way, being with her. So she destroyed the friendship by lying, basically, and saying I was like somebody when I wasn't. So I think that I've associated more with Kat still, and I'm still him.
So, I told you this earlier, but I was thinking of this when I wrote this, I guess, question or thought. Just because you have something to say, or just because something needs to be told, doesn't mean it needs to be heard.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
I think it means that, like, if I say I miss you to somebody or I love you, that even if I say it or text it or whatever,
yeah,
they don't need to give a response.
No, they don't. But, so are you even going to text them that, or do you just feel it with yourself?
I text them if my senses are giving me a good understanding to it. Like, if I feel like, uh-oh, I shouldn't do it, then I'm not going to.
So that requires stepping back, right?
Because I think you can get hurt if you go with your senses and there's something telling you not to, in a way. Like, with the senses, like saying, oh, you shouldn't do it, because...
But what if you have one of those whack-up senses that I do, that, like, no matter what you want to do, there's, like, a little voice that says, no, don't do it. What does that mean?
Well, then I guess you gotta really step back at that point. Because I don't really think it's a voice for me. It's just more my senses building up and understanding that what the other person would give an answer to. Like, it's more what you know about the other person, too. Like, you don't have to worry about too much about what you're thinking inside more than what you've picked up from the other person and what you can understand. And then there's, I think, more of an
Wait, so
understanding.
now your emotions are dependent on how much you know of them?
Sometimes. Especially if you want to say certain things that they won't respond to, then
Okay.
it's totally dependent on the other person.
Right. So, about apologizing.
I've
Like,
done that a lot.
do you apologize and not mean it sometimes?
No. I've apologized and meant it every time. I don't think there's
Wow.
one time I've ever not meant it. Even when I didn't do anything wrong, I feel like I'm the only one that can.
Can apologize or can do something wrong?
No, that can apologize, yeah.
Okay. I think my mother specifically have conditioned me to apologize and for it to be empty.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because even when I was a little kid, like, I don't know what I did wrong, but I don't know, spill some juice or milk, and then she'll hit me until I apologize. But I really know that I was apologizing. I know that I was repeating her.
Yeah.
And so let's say from the age of 3 till like now that I'm 20, sometimes I'll say something that I actually mean to her. I guess it might seem like disrespectful, but it's really just a disagreement.
Yeah.
And she would make me apologize. And sometimes I would just go on doing what I'm doing, or sometimes I would just apologize to get over it.
Yeah.
So knowing that for myself, it makes me question other people's apology because I know it is possible to apologize on an empty note.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that has to do also with the other person. Like, me apologizing, I know it may not have meant much to a lot of people. Like, one of my friends said, "Oh, well, we're not friends, though." That was his response to me. I was like,
Right.
"Oh, okay." So I saw that kind of empty note on their side. Like, just,
Right.
I'm not asking to be friends. I'm just apologizing, so.
Okay. So that brings me to the idea of there are empty apologies and empty forgiveness.
Yeah.
You're really rounding it out for me, Marshy. Okay, so I had asked her at some point why she liked me. Because, I mean, because we agreed that we liked each other, like...
Sorry. Hello? Oh, okay, I'll take care of that. Yeah, no problem. Okay. No, me too. Yeah. Okay, love. Bye-bye. Sorry.
Do you need to mail it right now, or...?
No, it's okay. I have
Okay.
time, so...
Well, yeah, so I asked her, like, why she liked me, because it seemed so sudden. But at some point we were able to sit down and confess to each other that it wasn't sudden.
Yeah.
It was very slow and gradual, and it's been happening for, like, I guess a year to a year and a half.
Nice.
But we were both so occupied with our own relationships that we neglected to realize how much we like each other.
Yeah.
And, like, over, like, the span of a month, like, she would say things to me like she's so intrigued about what I have to say, and she looks forward to hearing from me more than, like, reading a book or something like that. And at first I'm like, no, this is just you sweet talking me and me just taking it. But it wasn't until finals that I had to turn in a portfolio.
Yeah.
And she actually took out a couple hours of her time spending on her homework to literally break down all of my work and help me edit and help and tell me why things needs to be changed or why I should keep things the way it is. And then I've been writing this paper on Maggie Nelson's Bluettes for Professor Moore's class. Mm. And this is the first paper that I've spent like almost 3 weeks writing in my head.
Wow.
Writing and rewriting and physically writing it 5 times. And she actually stayed up with me multiple nights just trying to figure out what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And then on the day that I finished the paper, she sat there on campus with me reading it. And she agreed with what I had to say, and she like, I felt the sincerity of her just soaking up my words, not words to her even, just words for an academic paper that might not mean anything to anyone. It might not even mean anything to Professor Moore, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But here she is, just devoting her time to like spending with me. And then like when what happened did happen, like I stood there questioning all the sincerity.
Yeah.
But now that I've had 3 days to like take a step back, I realize that even though it might end or it has ended, like I guess no one can take that away from us.
That's true. I agree with that.
So
that's the same feeling I have with all the experiences too that I've had now.
That no one can take it away from you.
Yeah. I mean, Christina tried. But
yeah, a lot of people try to, I guess, crush it or try to invalidate those.
And that was one thing I talked about too today.
Okay.
About how, what is it? Let me see, hold on. Because it was, what was it? Hold on 1 second. I know I have it here. Oh, like using intimidation to rifle through me. Like instead of wanting someone who wants to be with me, another person would rather see if I want to be with them. Like they'll take the time to just snap at me and rifle through me completely. I think that's a wrong way to validate a relationship, I think. Any relationship, even a friendship.
What do you mean by rifling through you? Trying to figure out if your emotions are sincere?
Yeah. And honestly, I think that's one of the worst things a person can do, especially if they're acting outside it as an observer.
Well, do you think they're rifling through your emotions because they feel insecure about themselves?
Yes.
Like, please reassure me that you love me because I can't love myself.
Right. And that wouldn't help anyway. I did that, and
you reassured them?
No, I mean, I did love her, and it didn't reassure her of anything, clearly.
How do you know when you start loving someone? Like, when does being in like with someone turns to being in love with them?
It's different for every person I've had feelings for.
Well, just tell me about you and your most recent experience. Like, when does that shift occur?
When I can look past what someone else is saying, like someone close, even like family members. When I could look at what my grandma says, for example, and see how judgmental in a way she is, and see past what other friends may say, or things like that, and even like things around me, just how I act and how I feel compared to what someone else can say about my feelings. I think what I feel, and if other people see a difference in me, it's not always a bad thing. It shows that there is something different, but it's not bad. I think that's one way I notice, is when other people can notice a difference and stuff. I don't know. There are many things, but that's one way I notice. Because I'm still around it so much, especially with family. It's not hard to disengage from family, but I think it's hard for other people to disengage from me living with my family.
Right. You know what? Now that you say it, it's so true. I mean, I've told you before, but I think I was unable to put it in context and, like, contextualize my own emotion with the situation that I'm in.
Yeah.
Because when I had that confrontation in the middle of the night with them, like, her girlfriend or her partner or whoever she is to her,
Yeah.
she was saying things like, you've been mooching off of me for 7 years.
Right.
You owe me so much money. You take my car to school. You cheated on me like 1, 2, 3, whatever time. You owe me this. You owe me that. You're a user. You're horrible.
Yeah.
And I felt, and I thought I would hate Claudia for saying that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be like, shut up. Like, you can't talk to her like that. But I also felt Hannah's, I guess I felt her pain too.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's allowing Claudia to make her feel like she owes Claudia.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't question that they love each other. At first I did, but I don't. I feel like there's this love that I will never understand between them, but I know it's there. So, I thought I would hate Claudia for saying that, or I would hate Hannah for learning these new things about her that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like Claudia saying that Hannah socked her on the freeway so they would turn around from West Covina to Long Beach to go come see me or something like that.
Yeah.
And even though hearing that Hannah was at fault, I had no judgment.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to just take her in my arms and be like, if you choose me, or like, if you know what I mean, like I felt like a little kid. Like if we were to ever start anything, like I will never hold any of that against you.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the main issues that I saw with Christina, especially, that she started judging me based on what my grandma was saying. And I said, well, there you go. I mean, I'm not even judging you on what your parents are saying about me. I could care. But if you believe your parents, what they're saying about me, I mean, you know me more personally than they will.
Right.
And that's all that counts.
I've always had a problem with my name, Jacqueline, especially because when I was younger, I couldn't spell it. It was just too long. You know what I mean? Like, I had a friend named Amy. Okay, that's A-M-Y. And then I have Jacqueline, and I couldn't spell the Q for the life of me. And I was just so sad. And then, as I grew up, I learned the meaning of Jacqueline is to supplant, the supplanter.
Yeah.
And that means to replace, and I always struggled with that. And then until I told her, what it meant, and she's all like, well, sometimes to replace means it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I never saw it that way. But I also did tell her that I never want to replace Claudia. And also that I will never want to replace anyone in her life.
Yep.
But I'm also, like, because she asked me if I trust her. And at first I was like, I don't know if I can trust you because you're obviously lying a lot. But when we're alone together, I feel like everything she says to me is so sincere.
Yeah.
And even now, I feel the sincerity. And I trust that with me, she's someone else.
Nice.
And not that user or that person,
Yeah.
And even if she is, I'm willing to get to know that person. And is that being too miserably optimistic?
I don't think it's miserable. You're not taking it miserably either.
Okay.
I don't think that is at all.
Okay. Okay, so would you rather have something that you don't want or want something you can't have?
I don't think I do either.
You don't.
If that's the only choices, because I think there's a million doors. So to have only those choices, or think you only have those choices, I just would walk away from that.
Okay. So you would rather not have something you don't want, and then you don't want to want something you can't have either.
I don't think I ever have in those ways.
Okay.
Because even with my feelings, I always felt like I'm the one that has these feelings. I never thought, like, what is this other person feeling? I always felt that it's up to other people to want to see me as an obstacle to them too. Like, it's not up to me.
Are you an obstacle?
I don't think I've been, like I've said, I've been a key. I've been like the thing that people have gone by and found the right person right after them.
Right.
The interlude, but I don't think I'm an obstacle at all.
Yeah. I think, like, a lot of people tell me I'm complicated, but I feel like I'm not. Like,
Yeah.
I'm such an open book in the sense that, like, if you ask me something, I'll give you my answer to it, or I'll tell you I can't answer that.
Yeah.
So I think that
I've done that too. So.
I think that's less complicated than some people trying to give an answer that they don't have.
Yeah.
Or, like, formulating an answer that they don't believe in.
Right. It's true. I think, like, that's why all the years of hearing, like, stuff like fate, destiny, I think that one thing that I've learned is that even whether fate is real or not, the way people think about it is the wrong way. Like, I think about The Matrix because I have the series on DVD, and just how people have started viewing fate as something you don't control. You control yourself through everything, so whether or not fate is around you, it doesn't matter.
Right, that's what my tattoo means, creating your own fate,
Yeah.
embracing your own fate, and embracing your mistakes that leads you to a certain situation or not.
That's why I like the Matrix trilogy, because the first movie dealt with how fate is something you could go against, but then Neo started learning more about it, and that's what sequels kind of did. They got into more how deeply you have to control yourself rather than controlling fate.
Is there anything you want to ask me?
I don't know. You can keep on asking. I'm just...
So, okay, I have a quote. Scar tissue is stronger than regular tissue because it realizes strength and it knows how to move on.
Nice.
So, do you think...
Henry Rollins, huh?
Yeah. Do you think this physical, analysis can be applied to emotional scar tissue? Emotional scar tissue being stronger than regular tissue?
Wow. I think so.
Yeah.
I think it can be because, man, I think too many people see emotions as a weakness.
Right.
And I think that because of that, they try to turn them on and off. Like, because they don't see it as a strength, they think they just, okay, well, I don't need emotions right now. And I think that's a big problem.
Right. Well, I don't believe that you can turn your emotions off. I believe that you can try really hard to not express that emotion.
Well, I don't think necessarily you can turn them off, but I think you can get answers somewhere else. And that's one of the big issues I've seen, like that, let me go to the internet and check this out first. Like,
okay.
Kind of just using something else to contextualize how you feel rather than
asking yourself how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just using another source kind of
so
eliminates having to deal with that other part.
So this also means that they're insecure about their emotions.
Yeah.
So you never turn your emotions off?
No.
No.
I think that's one thing that maybe scares people is that I always have my emotions in one direction. And that's what I'm looking for. Like, I think every time I bring up a relationship, how some people have turned sexual orientations because of being let down by somebody. I was talking about that with one of my paranormal members, and he just brought up sex right away. And I said, well, no, I'm not talking about sex. Right. That's the one thing people just get at right away with relationships or stuff, is that it's about sex or something. And I was like, that's not the point. Emotions are the point to me. And because of being let down by maybe somebody of the opposite gender, they're changing. But if that's the reason why they change, how do they know they'll be happy with that change? How do they know they're going to find the right thing with just changing the sexual orientation? They may fall into the same traps because of that.
I've thought a lot about turning my emotions off because I've been accused of being too weak, too sensitive, too like whiny, or you know what I mean, too in touch with my emotions.
Yeah.
So for other people's sake and for their comfort, I have tried to like control my emotions.
Right.
But it's never worked. Like, I think the more I resist an emotion, the more it becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
So at
It's
this
true.
point, or like recently, I don't even try to like.
That's how I am at work all the time. So that's why they're always like, what are you saying, Marcello? I made a girl laugh till she cried yesterday, so
Yeah?
that was really good.
What did you say?
I was talking about how if I'm drinking, sometimes I'll be with my stuffed animals and be like, "Hey, Mickey, what's up?" And she was like, "What?" I said, "I get drunk and cuddle with my stuffed animals," you know. And she was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah. I think a lot of people, they're either annoyed or they're upset at how in touch I am with my emotions.
Yeah, I think it's the same.
I think it's because they restrain themselves from feeling the things they need to feel. So when they see me feeling what I do feel, they're all like, "Oh, here you go again." Like, you know, like, you need to restrain yourself too. I can't be the only one doing the restraining, you know what I mean? And you're right. You told me the other night when I was crying and we were driving home, and you said that, you know, weakness is only bad if you let others tell you that it's bad.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm really strong. As we laugh about it.
Yeah.
So we're getting to the 43 minutes.
Oh, man.
So fast. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
You just brought up so many ideas. I'm full of ideas now. So.
Okay. Well, you can ask me anything, or we can look at your book.
Well, I've brought up some, so, I mean, I don't know if you want to discuss any more. Because I kind of talked about all mine on my audio, so now we're just in a totally different territory. I love it.
You love it?
Yeah.
I don't know, there's so much I want to ask you. Give me a second. So my ex-girlfriend told me that our relationship is not over because she doesn't want it to be over.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was discussing this with you, and do you remember what you said?
Not really. I'm sorry.
You said something about
all these
how...
ideas.
You said something about how she can't be that sure because it requires two people, right?
Yeah. And I think she's also doing it maybe so she's a, you know, person of action. Like,
Right.
I think she's doing it for the wrong reasons.
For the wrong reasons, yeah. Well, I really did have a heart-to-heart with her, and I said that you only want me because of how I make you feel, of how you feel special when you're around me. And you're looking to feel special. You're not looking for me.
Yeah.
And she's all like, "No," but it was a very, like, weak no. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, oh, why did you have to say that? Like, and...
You helped my argument right there.
Yeah, I mean, like, it took me a while to, like, be able to firmly tell her, I don't think we're gonna work out.
Yeah.
It took me a while, and I kept telling you I don't have the heart to tell her. And you're all like, well, that means you do have the heart for her, right?
Yeah.
And then when you say these things to me, I'm just like, oh, fuck, Marshy, that's so true. But when I did tell her, I felt relief. And then whatever she said, it didn't really mean anything anymore. So I think I'm trying to apply what I learned from that to this thing.
Yeah.
That, like, me telling Nana that, because she said it ended badly, or like she's sorry that it ended the way it ended.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it ended.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Have I become my ex in this situation, trying to hold on to something that ended?
Well, I don't know if it ended in that way even, because I don't know if she meant it that way either. That it ended badly, possibly that night. That's the way I feel that it ended. It just ended that night badly.
Right, that night ended badly.
Yeah.
Wow. You give so much clarity. That night did end badly.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give it more days. I need more days. I need to be on a whole different emotional continent. Do you have any last words, or we can stop here?
We can stop here if you want.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for having me on Pink Cloud Radio.
Of course. I love it.
Alrighty.